What if time, as we know it, is an illusion? What if the ticking of the clock and the turning of the calendar are not the measure of existence, but merely shadows of a far greater rhythm, a cosmic pulse beating beneath the surface of reality? In the dense jungles of Central America, carved into stone with astonishing precision, lies a mystery that has haunted historians, astronomers, and mystics alike: the Mayan calendar. Not merely a tool for marking days, but a gateway to understanding time itself. A system so complex, so eerily accurate, that some believe it was gifted by beings not entirely of this world. You've heard the rumors. Whispers of 2012 and the so-called end of the world. But what if the truth was never about destruction? What if the calendar wasn't warning us of a catastrophic finale, but inviting us into a transformation so profound that it redefines what it means to be human? In this video, we are not simply retracing the steps of ancient astronomers or decoding dusty relics. We are unraveling a cosmic enigma that stretches across dimensions, cultures, and consciousness. We will explore how the Mayans perceived time not as a linear march forward, but as a sacred cycle, a spiraling dance of energy and evolution. We'll delve into the deeper symbolism of the long count calendar, why the date December 21, 2012 mattered, and how it marked a spiritual turning point, not a doomsday. We'll also uncover why this ancient wisdom was buried, perhaps by design, and how understanding it now could awaken dormant knowledge within you. By the end, you may not only grasp the true essence of the Mayan calendar, you may begin to see your life, your choices, and your very purpose through an entirely different lens. Are you ready to journey beyond the veil of time? To remember what your soul has always known? Then let us begin. Long before the rise of modern civilization, before the Gregorian calendar set our schedules and smartphones ruled our days, there existed a people who gazed at the stars not simply for navigation, but for revelation. The ancient Maya, whose cities rose like emerald crowns from the jungles of Mesoamerica, possessed an understanding of time so intricate and multidimensional that even today it baffles scholars. But what is often lost in translation is that the Mayan calendar was not merely a calendar, it was a cosmic map of consciousness. The Maya were not isolated dreamers. They were astronomers, philosophers, mathematicians, and mystics. Their long count calendar, which tracks time in great cycles called backtons, was not invented in a vacuum. It arose from an ancient lineage of wisdom, some say Atlantean, others say extraterrestrial. Their calendar begins in 3114 BCE, a date the Maya considered the start of the current world age. Curiously, this timeline aligns closely with other ancient creation dates, from the Hindu Kali Yuga to the Sumerian king lists, hinting at a shared ancestral memory, a synchronistic rhythm encoded into the fabric of human myth. But why such a preoccupation with time? To the Maya, time was not merely quantitative, but qualitative. Each day, each bacton, carried its own energetic signature, its own soul, if you will. Time moved in cycles, not lines. It breathed. It lived. The universe, in their eyes, was a great unfolding serpent, coiling and uncoiling through sacred geometries. Human beings were not separate from this process. We were active participants, dancing to the rhythm of celestial tides. At the heart of this worldview is the idea that time and consciousness are entwined. As the cycles shift, so too does human awareness. This is why the end of the long count calendar, marked on December 21, 2012, was never meant to signify an apocalypse, but a transition, an end of one epoch and the birth of another. It was the closing of the fourth world and the potential dawning of the fifth, a shift not in physical reality, but in perception. The deeper philosophical implication is this: the Maya were mapping the evolution of consciousness itself. Each cycle represents a step in humanity's awakening. The struggles of civilizations, the rise and fall of empires, the birth of new technologies, all of it mirrors an inner journey. The calendar, then, is a reflection of our collective soul path, echoing the Hermetic principle of, as above, so below. And yet, over time, this sacred knowledge was lost, erased by conquest, distorted by Western interpretations, and eventually diluted into pop culture doomsday prophecies. The Spanish conquistadors who burned Mayan codices were not merely destroying books, they were severing a civilization from its cosmic roots. But knowledge, especially sacred knowledge, has a way of enduring. Symbols survived in temples, in oral traditions, in the stars themselves, waiting to be reawakened. We now live in the aftershock of that 2012 marker, a time the ancients foresaw as chaotic, uncertain, yet pregnant with potential. The veils are thinning. Time feels faster, reality more fluid. Is it because we are entering the next cycle of the long count? A new age of awareness, where time itself bends to the will of consciousness? The Mayan calendar is more than an artifact, it is a prophecy. Not of doom, but of becoming. It whispers that time is not running out. Rather, it is spiraling inward, drawing us back to a place we have always known but long forgotten. A place where the sacred and the scientific merge, where past and future meet in the eternal now. And this is where the real mystery begins. To truly understand the depth of the Mayan calendar, we must begin by unraveling the sacred architecture of time as the Maya envisioned it. Their calendar system wasn't singular, it was an intricate network of interlocking cycles, each one influencing the other like gears in a divine mechanism. At the center of this system was the Tzolk'in, a 260-day ceremonial calendar rooted not in astronomy, but in metaphysical rhythms, gestational cycles, sacred numerology, and cosmic harmonics. Alongside it ran the Hab, a 365-day solar calendar. These two calendars synchronized in a cycle called the calendar round, a 52-year period considered deeply significant, marking moments of alignment between the human and divine. But the true key to their prophetic vision was the long count calendar, the one that catapulted 2012 into global headlines. This calendar tracked immense spans of time, measuring not just years, but epochs. The long count is based on cycles called backtons, each one encompassing 144,000 days, or about 394 years. According to this system, we recently completed the 13th Bacton, a number the Maya regarded as sacred and final in a sequence, bringing us to the infamous date of December 21, 2012. Now, many took this as an expiration date, an apocalyptic finale. But this interpretation was a tragic misunderstanding, born from a linear mindset that cannot fathom the elegance of cyclical time. The number 13 in Mayan cosmology is not a harbinger of doom, it represents completion, ascension, and rebirth. Just as the 13 lunar cycles within a solar year represent the fullness of a cycle, the 13th Bacton marked the end of a world age, not the world itself. So what does it mean for a world age to end? According to Mayan mythology, our universe has been through multiple creations and destructions, 4 worlds, each with its own characteristics, consciousness, and elemental essence. These ages were not metaphorical, they were energetic phases, each one shaping the soul of humanity in different ways. The 5th age, which we are said to be entering now, is often described as the age of transformation, a time of awakening, where humanity begins to remember its divine nature. This transformation is not automatic. It is an invitation, a cosmic window. During transitional periods, energy intensifies, illusions are stripped away, and the human psyche is pushed to evolve. The years surrounding 2012, and the ones we are living through now, are part of this liminal space. The veil between dimensions is thinner. Time feels strange, at once speeding up and collapsing in on itself. Many are feeling a call, a discomfort, a yearning they can't explain. These are the symptoms of cyclical consciousness reactivating within us. Here's where the calendar's structure becomes deeply symbolic. The long count begins on August 11, 3114 BCE, a date mythologically linked to the birth of the current world. It ends, or rather transitions, on December 21, 2012. This creates a full cycle of roughly 5,125 years, a sacred period the Maya referred to as a Great Cycle. What's fascinating is that this time frame aligns with various other ancient prophecies. The Hindu Yugas, the Hopi prophecies, even the Platonic year referenced by Greek philosophers, all speak of world ages and great transitions. The convergence is not coincidence, it is a shared remembrance. What's even more intriguing is the precision with which the Maya tracked celestial bodies. Without telescopes or modern instruments, they calculated the solar year to within a fraction of a day. Their knowledge of Venus's movements, down to the hour, was so accurate, it rivals our current technology. Why? Because they believed the heavens were mirrors of inner transformation. Every planetary movement, every solar alignment, was a whisper from the gods, a message coded in the stars. The Mayan calendar was, then, a spiritual technology, an alchemical clock meant to guide humanity through its evolutionary journey. And 2012 was not the final stroke of midnight. It was the moment the gears shifted. The invitation was sent. The awakening began. But who were the architects of such a system? Were the Maya tapping into universal truths through trance, prayer, and deep communion with the earth? Or were they remembering something far older, something passed down from an even more ancient civilization, perhaps one lost to flood, flame, or forgetfulness? As we pull back the veil further, we begin to see that this isn't just about the Maya. It's about a pattern, a sacred code of transformation encoded into the very structure of reality. And the next layer of that code is waiting to be revealed. As we delve deeper into the mystery, we must confront the possibility that the Mayan calendar was never intended to be fully understood through intellect alone. It was a multidimensional language, mathematical, symbolic, spiritual. It spoke to the stars, yes, but also to the soul. And perhaps the true key to unlocking it lies not in deciphering every glyph or recalculating every date, but in allowing it to awaken something dormant within us, an ancient memory etched not in stone, but in our very DNA. This is where we must examine the esoteric dimensions of the long count. The 13 backtons that completed in 2012 were said to correspond to 13 heavens or stages of consciousness, each one governing not just time, but human awareness. According to Mayan cosmology, each stage brings its own lessons, challenges, and transformations. In this view, we haven't simply exited an old calendar, we've stepped into an entirely new energetic frequency. The shift wasn't outward, it was inward. Subtle. Invisible to the eye, yet unmistakable to the spirit. Many have spoken of the years since 2012 as a kind of spiritual quickening. Old systems, political, economic, even religious, have begun to fracture. Truths long buried are erupting to the surface. People across the world are awakening to synchronicities, vivid dreams, intuitive knowing. It's as if the frequency of reality itself is shifting, recalibrating us to a higher octave. Could this be what the Maya foresaw? Not destruction, but disruption, a sacred chaos designed to burn away illusion and make space for rebirth? But not everyone agrees on this interpretation. Skeptics argue that the Mayan calendar was never meant to predict anything, that it was just a sophisticated way to track time. Others claim that it ended because the stone tablets did, or that we've simply projected meaning where none was intended. And yet, the timing is difficult to ignore. The ancient Hopi spoke of a time when the world would shake itself awake. The Andean Karo spoke of a Pachacuti, a turning of the world, and predicted a return to balance around this same window of time. Even the Christian book of Revelation, long misinterpreted as a tale of judgment, reads more like a coded prophecy of collective transformation. Then there are the mysteries that defy easy explanation. Why do so many ancient calendars, from the Egyptians to the Babylonians to the Mayans, all revolve around cycles that last thousands of years, and often conclude around the same era? Why did so many indigenous prophecies point to this particular window in time as pivotal, as if humanity were poised on the edge of something enormous and unseen? Perhaps the most compelling question is this: how did the Maya know? Their cities, swallowed by jungle, had no satellites, no telescopes. And yet they charted planetary cycles that take centuries to complete. They predicted solar eclipses, tracked the galactic center, and constructed their temples in precise alignment with celestial movements. Some of their pyramids were not just monuments, but timekeepers, machines of stone that marked solstices, equinoxes, and galactic alignments with astonishing precision. One such alignment occurred in 2012. The winter solstice sun aligned with the dark rift of the Milky Way, a rare cosmic event known to the Maya as the rebirth of the sacred tree, a galactic axis connecting heaven, earth, and the underworld. To the rational mind, this may seem coincidental. But to the mystic, it is a message, a celestial fingerprint confirming that we are not moving randomly through space and time, but through a divine pattern. The Maya were not primitive, they were initiates. Guardians of a wisdom tradition that saw time not as a cage, but as a spiral staircase leading back to the stars. And so, as the old world unravels and the new one emerges, we are called to do more than just observe, we are called to remember. The end of the long count wasn't a prophecy to fear, but a riddle to awaken to. It marked the closing of a cycle, and the opening of a portal. But a portal to what? And how do we walk through it? For that, we must bring the mystical down to earth. We must learn how to live this wisdom, not just study it. Because the Mayan calendar wasn't meant to be worshipped, it was meant to be lived. Now that the veils have lifted and we stand at the threshold of a new world age, the question arises, what do we do with this knowledge? How can the profound wisdom encoded within the Mayan calendar be applied to our everyday lives? The answer is not found in academic study or intellectual debates, it lies in embodiment. The Maya didn't just think cosmically, they lived in harmony with the cycles of the earth, the heavens, and the soul. And this is where their ancient technology becomes incredibly practical for us today. To begin living in alignment with the wisdom of the long count and the Tzolk'in, we must first reclaim our connection to cyclical time. In a world ruled by deadlines, appointments, and digital clocks, we've been trained to experience time as a linear march toward some distant end. But what if, like the Maya, we began to see time as something sacred and alive? Start by tuning into natural rhythms, the rising and setting of the sun, the phases of the moon, the seasons of the earth, and even the changing energies within your own body. Keep a journal not just of events, but of energetic patterns. Ask yourself, what themes keep repeating in my life? What lessons seem to come in waves? These are your personal backtons, revealing your soul's journey through time. You can also begin to work with the Tzolk'in calendar, which pairs 20 sacred day signs, each representing a spiritual archetype, with 13 galactic tones, energetic frequencies. This creates a 260-day cycle that maps spiritual evolution in a spiral form. Each day in this calendar carries a unique energetic signature, a vibrational fingerprint that influences everything from your emotions to your creativity to your dreams. By learning your Mayan birth sign, you can gain insight into your life's purpose, innate gifts, and soul challenges. Sites and resources are available that calculate your day sign and guide you on how to work with it. This isn't superstition, it's an energetic compass, pointing you back to your center. Another practice rooted in Mayan spirituality is ceremonial alignment. The Maya conducted rituals to honor the movements of celestial bodies, especially Venus and the Sun. You don't need a pyramid to do this, you need intention. Start by observing sunrise and sunset as sacred thresholds. Offer a quiet prayer. Light a candle. Speak to the earth. Align your rituals with solstices, equinoxes, new moons, and full moons. These are natural portals of transformation, moments when the veils between worlds grow thin. When you attune to these cosmic tides, you begin to flow with time instead of against it. Equally important is the practice of presence. The long count was not only a measurement of days, it was a map of awareness. Each bacton was a chapter in the evolution of human consciousness. We are now in the chapter of awakening. This means cultivating mindfulness, not as a trend, but as a sacred act. Begin each day with a question: what is the energy of this moment? Slow down. Listen. The calendar teaches us that time is not just a backdrop, it is a living entity we can enter into relationship with. On a deeper level, this wisdom invites us to deconstruct illusion. The collapse of linear time mirrors the collapse of false identities, outdated paradigms, and inherited belief systems. The Maya invite us to unlearn, to strip away the layers of programming that disconnect us from our spiritual nature. This is the true preparation for entering the fifth age, not a physical shift, but a dimensional one. A leap in perception. A return to unity consciousness. Lastly, remember that this path is not about perfection, it's about participation. The Mayan calendar does not demand worship, it offers guidance. It is not a deadline, it is a doorway. Each day is an opportunity to step through that door and live in greater alignment with the cosmos, with the earth, and with your own sacred rhythm. You are not separate from the stars. You are not bound by the ticking of the clock. You are a being of cycles, encoded with the memory of worlds forgotten and worlds to come. The calendar was never about the end of time. It was about the beginning of timelessness. And that begins within you. And so, we return to the question that ignited this journey. What did the Maya truly mean by the end of time? As we've seen, it was never about catastrophe or the crumbling of the earth, but rather the crumbling of illusions. The long count calendar did not herald destruction, it announced a transition. A shift not of planets alone, but of perception. The old world, rooted in hierarchy, separation, and fear, has begun to dissolve. And in its place, a new paradigm emerges, one rooted in remembrance, resonance, and the sacred interconnectedness of all things. We are not spectators to this change. We are participants, dreamers, co-creators of the unfolding story. The end of one cycle is the inhale before the next breath. The closing of a cosmic book so that another, deeper one might be opened. The Maya left us more than glyphs and temples, they left us a mirror. A map. A challenge to awaken from the trance of mechanized time and return to the living rhythm of the soul. So the next time you look at a calendar, ask yourself, am I marking days, or am I measuring the evolution of my spirit? The next time you see the sunrise, know that it is not just a celestial event, it is a call. A whisper from the past and the future, converging in this very moment, inviting you to awaken. The end of time was never an end. It was a beginning disguised as a question. A gateway cloaked in mystery. And now, as you step across that threshold, may you do so not with fear, but with reverence. Because the calendar has turned. The portal is open. And the time is now. If this journey stirred something within you, consider sharing your thoughts below. What does this awakening mean to you? What cycles are ending, and what new ones are being born? The mystery continues, and your voice is part of its unfolding.